At LinkedIn, we know hiring is a big deal for your small business. Sometimes it can feel a little overwhelming. LinkedIn uses data that you can't find anywhere else to give you the best candidates, all so you can feel confident you're hiring the best person for the job. And even a little hiring bliss. See why 86% of small businesses who post a job on LinkedIn get a qualified candidate within a day. Post a job for free at linkedin.com/achieve. LinkedIn, your next great hire is here.
Transform your home during Blinds.com's Cyber Monday Super Sale. Get up to 50% off site-wide, plus huge doorbuster deals on popular styles. Go DIY and do it all 100% online, or choose white glove service with expert design help and professional installation. Both backed by Blinds.com's 100% satisfaction guarantee. Blinds.com's Cyber Monday Super Sale is here. Save up to 50% site-wide and get a free professional measure. Limited time offer, rules and restrictions apply. See Blinds.com for details.
Welcome to Why We Roll,
a tabletop role-playing game design podcast by the Stillfleet Studio.
We're your hosts, Chris Pickett, creator of the historical fantasy game Dance Macabre,
and Wythe Marshall, creator of the political sci-fi game Stillfleet.
Through the show, we hope to amplify new creative voices.
We chat with different indie TTRPG designers, talking through a range of questions that are pertinent to many designers, players, and GMs.
We hope to showcase fresh and even challenging ideas about what makes imagination-based games so powerful.
Before we introduce today's guest, a reminder. If you enjoy this episode, please consider supporting the show and all of our games over at patreon.com/Stillfleet.
Okay, let's find out why we roll.
Hey, we're here at PAX Unplugged 2025. It's Wythe Marshall and
Chris Pickett.
And we're Why We Roll, the tabletop game design podcast. We're here with John from Breitbart. And you're going to tell us all about Breitbart's games, including Axolotl with a Gun, which, spoiler, is a game about
an axolotl with a gun. Like, the quick pitch that I give to people at the show is always you play an axolotl with a gun fighting evil robots who are trying to mess up your habitat, and most of the time, like, partway through that sentence, people's eyes just sort of, like, light up because they hear axolotl with a gun and they hear evil robots, and I'm like, yeah, sure, sold. But
yeah, I mean, what else do you need?
How does Axolotl with a Gun work? What's the quick, nerd at PAX is really into RPGs. It's like, okay, how do I play it?
if you're familiar with Eat the Reich by Rowan Rook and Deckard, it's kind of like a stripped-down version of that same Havoc system that powers that. Which is to say that at the beginning of every scene, the Game Master is going to set an objective for you that forms like the central tension. So maybe at the beginning of the game, a bunch of mecha raptors ambush the lake where the axolotls are hanging out with their buddies doing cute crafts.
Of course.
Yeah, as they do.
As they do, yeah.
Underwater basket weaving, like that kind of stuff, conjuring horrors from the deep, what have you, K-pop dances.
Going from conjuring horrors from the deep to K-pop dances is very funny.
I had somebody take those two hobbies in combination, and they started a cult with it.
And that tracks, yeah.
That sounds right, yeah.
But, so we might start there, and I, the Game Master, might set the objective like, repel an ambush that shows up to the lake. And so players would then, build their dice pools by describing increasingly unhinged chaos that their little, regenerating amphibians get up to with their guns and their cute hobbies. And then they would spend their dice to knock out my attack dice and fill up the little objective meter that I've set. And when that meter fills up, we go on to the next scene.
Nice. Oh, yeah. And so is it meant to be, because to me Eat the Reich is meant to be a 3-off, right? It's like a one story that you play one time, and it eventually resolves. And you can't really play it again unless you just do the same thing. Is this game, it sounds more open-ended to me, which is a good thing. I'm saying this is a compliment.
A little less structured, more kind of in the tradition of the traditional TTRPG.
The epic adventure.
The epic adventure.
Yeah.
The Picaro axolotl with a gun.
Right. But so you could, in theory, use it as a one-off, but maybe even do it again or do it differently? I mean, is that fair to say? Or do you imagine it more as it's like a one fun zine kind of game?
So interestingly enough, this version of the game is designed for one-shot play. You take an advance and you get you see the edges of this system very quickly within about the 2 hours that a session takes. But we do have a version coming out next year that we're working on that does allow for more of that kind of open-ended campaign play style a little bit, because This game, I feel like, is inspired a lot by like side-scrolling arcade games.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Where like
I can see like
enemies.
I can see like a Metal Slug kind of thing happening. Yeah.
Yep. That's the vibe where we have kind of like almost a Cult of the Lamb feel, like a roguelike feel to the one we're working on, where it's like, you can play like 6 to 12 like games of this, like sit down and play, like have a consistent narrative for a few sessions, as opposed to just like 2 hours of saying increasingly nutso stuff to each other about like, oh yeah, I'm gonna slash up a bunch of like laser beams with my gun sword, and they're like, all right.
Well, that can be the problem with the game, and this again applies to Aetherreich, but where you have a character that's a really wild idea and it's a really wild setting, and it's like there can be a fatigue, I think, with like coming up with stuff. But I imagine there's ways, like with the hobbies you mentioned, maybe there's other like narrative props or ways to kind of ground you, like who is my axolotl? You know what I mean? Like how do you see the axolotl as an avatar?
Like cycles that you can kind of build on the base game using the hobbies or things like that. I could see people taking that any number of directions for sure.
Well, like how much do you need to know about axolotls to play the game? Again, softball question here, but
you don't need to know a lot. You'll learn a few things about it. A lot of like the axolotl's powers are based off of like real axolotl facts, obviously like dialed all the way up to 11 because it's a silly tabletop game. But the regeneration thing, when your axolotl's knocked out, you spend like the round regenerating, and then you roll some dice, heal your stats back up, and then jump back in.
Oh, love it.
Axolotls naturally regenerate. If they lose a limb, they can regrow that limb just fine. So like that's one thing. Another like cool thing about them is that they have both gills and lungs, and while technically they can breathe on land, they are amphibians. They dry out because they're also still salamanders, and they're these neotenic creatures. So like your stats are constantly decaying because you're drying out as long as you're on land.
That's awesome.
That is kind of
That's
awesome.
very fun, and I like that, especially for the like one shot kind of quick play thing where it's like there is this observable ending, right? Where it's like, I am going to be desiccated by the end of this if I don't get back into the water.
I'm going to be a specimen in a lab if I don't like solve this Mecharaptor problem. Yeah. So, John, can you tell us a little about maybe working backwards, just like how you got into games? Just maybe super quick other games you've worked on. Like what's on the edges of Axolotl with a gun?
Yeah, so some of our other like recent games, a more robust, like similar in scope and style to Aetherreich, but wildly tonally different, is Trash to Treasure, where you play a bunch of magical girl trash goblins who save a magical city from corporate greed and pollution.
Hell yeah.
All of the girls' powers are fueled by garbage. It's like Captain Planet meets Sailor Moon.
Oh, I love a garbage game.
Yeah, it's great.
It's like Toxic Avenger meets Sailor Moon.
I did the art also. Again, this is a podcast, but dear listener, please imagine Sailor Moon goblins. That's all I'm going to say. Pick it up. Trash to Treasure. Sailor Moon goblins.
That's all you need. That says it all. It says it all.
Yeah, I think like there's been a very strong kind of eco-fantasy bent to a lot of our games.
Yeah,
love that.
Where like the enemies in Axolotl with a gun are themed for like the environmental impacts of kind of like tech fads or like urbanization of like wild places. Trash to Treasure obviously is very loudly like all of your powers are fueled like themed around recycling stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whoa.
I really want to do sort of Blister Critters Trash to Treasure mashup where it's a bunch of little guys, little animals, but then they meet the trash goblin girls and like they have to work together to like solve a environmental disaster, a beast. I think there's a lot of similarity with the turn to eco, and with a lot of designers looking around being like, I should probably get that in my game, that theme. So really cool that you've sort of thought through that a few different ways here.
Should probably address climate change and the eco-apocalypse that's coming down because no one else is doing it.
Yeah, nah.
Reuse your stuff. It's
that easy.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. It's
way more complicated at industrial scales.
More complicated, but you can start by reusing your stuff.
So you have a bunch of games, right? So Breitbart is not just one game, right? You're kind of putting out sort of smaller format games, but all really fun. There's some themes. How would you describe? I shouldn't. That's me with asking with a question. How would you describe your kind of work as a game designer overall? I don't know.
Yeah, I like to describe our games in kind of two different genres. We have like the Axolotl with a gun and the Trash to Treasure, where it's like you are a horrible little guy, go fight God. And then the other kind of game that we make are like solo and duet, kind of more artsy, like journaling or like solo games.
Like story games might be a label that is increasingly kind of separating adventure games. So not an avatar that's simulated, but like a story you play through with prompts, right? I mean,
I think Bonds Between, like following the kind of eco fantasy theme, is like one where we imagine the two players who are playing as modern day dragons who hoard everyday things like teacups or stickers or pins or things like that, and you're like lords of like kind of rundown, forgotten places. So you might be like a vacant lot, or somebody's like messy backyard might be your domain as a dragon.
This just kind of sounds like my apartment. But, go on.
It's hoarding, but with dragons. No, that's real. That's smart. That's really smart.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it's and then the game like encourages you to like go and find stuff in your house to physically collage on a deck of playing cards with.
Oh, that's fun.
So it's like, oh, I have this stuff like lying around. I should use it. I should use my precious things that I hoard and keep, because like what else are you gonna do with them? Sit and gather dust?
Yeah, let it collect dust.
Put it in a storage unit, pay too much for that storage unit, forget about it for 10 years, and then be like, oh shit, I'm still paying for that storage unit.
Yeah.
Glue it to a card and mail
Welcome
it
to
your
New
friends.
York, greatest city in the world. No, so John, where are you based? Speaking of eco and geography, where are you coming from to PAX?
We are from Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities in Minnesota, which is a little bit, I think, why we're as kind of grounded in the eco-fantasy themes as we are.
Sure. Yeah.
So...
And I guess, Chris, I'm sure you have questions as well. Just one last question from me. Maybe, Chris, you want to jump in here. What are you doing at PAX besides, letting people know about all your great games like Bonds Between, Trash to Treasure, and Axolotl with a Gun? Anything fun you've seen or you're up to?
I've been playtesting some of our upcoming releases this weekend, which is fun. I've been spending a lot of time eating increasingly delicious food in Chinatown, which is one of the things I look forward to most when I come here. And a lot of just seeing friends. Conventions are one of the few opportunities I feel like we get in a hobby that's like so scattered across the country.
Yeah.
To like actually go sit down and have dinner with people, or like stop and chat for a little while. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Any final questions here with John from Breitbart?
No, I mean, the only thing that I guess a couple of things. One thing is, past Axolotl with a Gun, Trash to Treasure, past PAX Unplugged. Any previews of what's next for Breitbart? Any future projects y'all are working on?
Okay, so I did talk about like Axolotl with a Gun Reloaded, the like campaign edition of it, and then we have a handful of other games that we're kind of like cooking on right now. We have another tarot-powered kind of in the vein of like Bonds Between, or one of our other titles, Terminus, that uses a tarot deck to kind of do a little bit of journaling and storytelling. We have one of those kind of slowly in the works for next year, and I am unfortunately a huge Destiny 2 head.
Okay, yeah, looter shooter guy, yeah.
So I've been quietly working on a much bigger, kind of crunchier game for the last 6 to 8 months that I'm hoping to release an ash can or like a playtest version of next
Very
year.
cool.
Intrigued.
Do you know Spencer Campbell, friend of the show, Spencer Campbell?
Gila RPGs?
Gila
Do
RPGs.
you know Spencer? I've actually playtested this game with Spencer already.
I was gonna say you got to get Spencer, because I know that Spencer's a big Destiny looter shooter head. I know that's his world.
Literally made a game called Loot, which is
he
great.
Literally made
I
a game
wrote
called
for
Loot.
Loot.
Nice.
what?
Oh, yeah.
my God,
So,
there you
and
go.
the game that I'm working on is built out of some of the systems that Loot plays with, like the card tapping, like
Right.
character
Yeah,
sheet and
yeah.
stuff like that,
Oh, that's
which was
awesome.
something that was very, very cool to me. So,
Very cool. I love that. I love that it's all connected at the end of the day.
It's a big old circle here at PAX Unplugged 2025. John
Passing
Boyle.
the same $20 around.
That's right.
But then, last question, John. Where can folks find Breitbart? How where are your pluggables? How can we best support you?
yeah, absolutely. If you want to pick up our games, breitbardgames.com, Breitbard, like the Renaissance character of the D&D class. breitbardgames.com. We are also on like Indie Press Revolution. If you want to talk to your local game store, they can usually get us through there. You can also find us by the same name on social media. We're usually chatting about like upcoming conventions, tweeting about games, that kind of stuff.
Fantastic.
Very cool. Thank you so much. It's John Boyle from Breitbart Games, and we're Chris and Wythe from Why We Roll. We'll be back with more PAX Unpluggedness.
Yeah.
But for now, we're saying sign off. Everybody go check out Axolotl with a Gun. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Why We Roll, the tabletop game design podcast. I'm Wythe Marshall, and I'm here with
Chris Pickett.
And our special guest today is Okami from House of Dreams.
Hi, everybody. I'm Okami from House of Dreams. I'm the creative director of House of Dreams, and I am a game designer, and I am also the community outreach and fundraising lead for Apocalyptic Unlimited, a BIPOC creative collective that does both scenes and actual play.
Oh, that's very cool.
Incredible.
So we're here at PAX Unplugged 2025. We're just doing another short teaser interview just to kind of get to know Okami and some of your work, and some of your. So we can talk about both game design and streaming, whatever you want to sort of highlight. But I think maybe the first question is, what are you up to at PAX Unplugged? What are you sort of promoting or debuting here?
Yeah. What's your con look like?
So right now, I am just sort of networking with different people. When I went to Big Bang last year, I focused on my game design, but this year I'm focusing more on promoting Apocalyptic Unlimited's actual play charity fundraiser. We're doing another Black History Month. We were nominated for a Crit Award last year for the event, and we're continuing. So I'm spreading the word to get as many creators interested in teaming up with us and raising funds for charity for Black History Month.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. Do you want to shout out any of the either people who were involved last year or definitely this year, or the charities? Like, kind of tell us a little more about that event.
Well, last year we raised upwards of over $1,500 for Black Girl Code, and we had lots of people involved running games. We had people like Candace Magnificent, we had people like Dare, we had people Cypher of Tyr ran a game for us. I launched House of Dreams from that charity fundraising event.
Oh, wow.
So I owe a really, really great debt to Apocalyptic Unlimited for making my actual play channel happen, and I ran my series, my Wander Home series, The Season's Oath, which we'll be doing a season 2 next year, and that included Honey and Dice, Umbral Knight, Trooper SBJ, lots of just fantastic people in the scene involved both in AP and game design.
Very cool.
Fantastic, yeah. And do you have anything that you designed that you're putting up here at PAX or that you're showing anybody?
No, but I would just like to take a moment to talk about go to my itch, khiyokami.itch.io. I have a few projects on there, but the one I'm most proud of, I launched today the second edition of the Ashcan Fair season, which is a GM-less belonging outside belonging game about middle-ages reenactors, such as from the Ren Fair SCA, that go to a weekend-long camping event and encounter weird supernatural things and have to survive over the next 4 days. And it can be pushed in several different directions. You can push it to a horror angle, you can push it to a comedic angle, you could keep it, fantasy. I recently added clocks because I played Forged in the Dark and I thought clocks were cool.
Yeah,
clocks are dope.
It reminds me of Road Warriors. We were just talking to our friend David is doing a game about stand-up comics on the road and how tough it is to get gigs and make them work at all. Even just literally get butts and seats. And it reminds me of that because it's about actors, but you're playing as actors who are sometimes acting and sometimes quote unquote being themselves. So I think it's a really fun trope. Having played all of one time Road Warriors, I liked that experience of having my stage persona and then my me persona in the game. Mm-hmm. So I'd love to do that in a horror setting. What does that change?
Yeah. Well, and listeners of the show will know that I personally love medieval horror, and I love this twist on the idea of it, where it's you're acting as if it's
right.
SCA specifically is very funny because it's medieval, early modern. It's all just kind of smooshed up.
We're just having a good time.
Yeah, we're just having a good time. But then you got ghosts you got to deal with. It's a different dimension.
Yeah, I play tested it at Big Bad Con last year, and people really, really enjoyed it. I've run it as an AP on Pocket Dragon Pub, on Insecurity Tea. I did it on New Age Geeks for a charity fundraiser. So I've run it myself. So I've kind of merged my game design and my AP together with Fair Season specifically. And looking LFG, which is Follow the Leader. Amazing indie podcast that does all GM-less games, and it's all LGBT cast. They've been around for about 7 years, and we did it was a 4-hour recording session, but they split it up into 3 episodes with like sound effects and everything. So
I'm gonna go listen to that. That sounds really fun.
Fun.
Yeah, it's really great, and it's just I originally got inspired to do this because of Sleepaway by Jay Dragon. I've never been to summer camp, but I have worked as like a Ren Fair person, and I've gone to SCA camping events. So I was just like, I felt that the horror of Sleepaway and the summer camp vibes was very similar to that. So
absolutely,
it inspired me to write my own game about those experiences, and it's a lot of fun.
I mean, I do think a lot of Ren Fair, sites, grounds, whatever they're called, are haunted in their own way. They're deeply haunted, and you can really, there's a lot to dig into there. I think.
They're haunted by like people doing drugs in the bathroom, as well as like maybe in this game ghosts. So I definitely want to explore like that, as you said, the sort of spectrum from kind of slice of life comedy to like, oh my god, we're in a slasher movie. So that's cool. That's something we should talk about more when we have you on. So this is a teaser for the full episode. We can go through mechanics and all that kind of stuff. Development.
We'll get into it.
Yeah. So anything else? So at PAX, anything else that you're excited about? Whether by for your work or anyone else's, you want to sort of shout out, or anything cool you've seen?
I've seen so many cool things. I know this is going to sound kind of like, I guess, mainstream, but like I'm really excited about all this new Daggerheart stuff. I got a chance to meet Spencer from Gila RPGs. I'm really excited about Dragon Slayers. I love Possum Creek. I got a chance to go to the booth and finally meet some of the people there in person, because I've been on their Discord community for a very long time, and it was like really great to go there. My biggest series right now is The Season's Oath, which is a Wanderhome actual play series that I mentioned earlier, and that community has done so much, helping me with my game design and both with my actual play, and like I love the boundaries that Wanderhome pushes, and it kind of led me to like the OSR scene, which I know that's like a weird like entry point for like OSR, but like I used to play AD&D when I was young.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
Yeah, so like, I know that there's been like some problems with some like problematic political attitudes in the OSR scene, but like how much of that is just people complaining on Twitter, and how much of that is true?
Well, there's definitely some truth, but I think there's a big inversion too, right? There's people like us who like also grew up with that kind of tradition and are like, we're leftists, so it's like we're not doing any sort of gatekeeping, policing bullshit, and it's fun to see that counter reaction in a way. And I get that why people moved away from the term 100%. Like I get it, but it's also like, okay, if that's the thing you like, play what you like, right? Like if you want to roll math rocks, you want to roll d20s and fight goblins, I mean, whatever, like, there's a lot of ways to play games.
Anybody can wear chainmail.
Anyone can wear chainmail. We're not going to police what you look like when you wear the chainmail. You can have fun. It's a fantasy in your brain, right? You're making it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And like there's a lot of stuff that's going on in OSR that is like really informing my Wanderhome series. I'm very transparent about it being a West Marches hex crawl OSR inspired, and I have it right there in the ads. I'm like, hey, if you have a problem with that, you don't have to watch the series.
Right.
But every episode is a different place. I create these like bespoke, what we would call a hex. Sure. But using the tools in Wanderhome to make a different place for my players to explore every single episode. I take into the weather phenomenon, I take into the season, I take into the different holidays, and we were able to fly through like 16 episodes, raise money for charity. And it's really helped my game design, because let me tell you, making up like bespoke places with like unique traditions and lore, like there's so many amazing world building tools in Wanderhome that has really allowed me to like just create places that my players can just lose themselves in. And I'm actually seriously considering like saving these places and putting out using the third party license.
Supplement.
I've been thinking about putting out a supplement, because it's been a lot of work. I have like probably like 50 to 60 pages. I have 16 different places 21. I've made 21 different locations with NPCs and encounters and folklore, and I've even started adding like original lore onto the different holidays that are specific to that place, and it's been great. Like I've gotten some advice from my friends in the industry where they're like, well, Kami, like, if you really want to make it in game design, like, you gotta do less AP stuff, and I'm just like, but like it helps.
Why?
It's time, it's dedication, it's putting yourself out there.
It is an attention
all
economy
my stuff
thing,
is
yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean to talk over you. I'm so sorry. All my stuff, as I said, is on itch. I'm not published by any studio, and that's fine. I'm happy with that, but I would like a chapbook, a nice little hardcover, like 30, 40 page chapbook with some nice art. I still dream of that.
Yeah.
But AP has really helped me I love running stories, and it really gives me the motivation to write. To just write and experiment with new systems and learn new systems and then bring that back to my game design.
Yeah.
It's a whole process.
Well, there's something a lot of the folks that we've talked to on the main feed of the show, it's I've been a forever GM forever, and that's what got me into game design, because I wanted to start hacking things and changing things. But there is something about just persistently being in the driver's seat, being a GM, running games, even if it's GM-less, but producing stuff for AP, where it's you are getting that practice. That is game design practice, right?
Yeah,
there.
and I think it'd be interesting to talk about that at more length and your experience, and maybe the shift, right, where it's not all or nothing. It's not like you're either doing AP or game design, but how that's changed over time. We talked a little about it with Bad House RPG, with the RP Jesters. Shout outs to them; they're really cool, and they're here somewhere. Some of them are around here somewhere, but it'd be cool to hear, Okami, your experience going into AP and going into game design and how those feed in. And I just want to come back to something you said earlier also about Discord communities, because I think that's a huge thing that's kept us going too, is designers, when you publish something, you don't always get feedback. Even if someone buys it, let's say, and says, I liked it, that's kind of it, right? Whereas the community on Discord will play games with you, they'll ask questions, they'll suggest improvements, they'll maybe argue, whatever, right? But it's real people, and it's a place that is more or less free. It's a watering hole, right? And the internet, as it's enclosed and shitified, it's nice to have, sites where you can find other nerds of your political persuasion, let's say,
and some third spaces.
Some third spaces, queer-friendly spaces, places where you can have conversations that are sometimes challenging about what is fun, what is a story, whatever. So I get, maybe that's all to say. These are themes. Maybe we can talk about at greater length when we have you on for a full episode.
I would love that.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I've got a couple of Discords that I would love to drop, to let you know, because the House of Dreams Discord started off as literally just me and my friends playing games that weren't D&D while we were in lockdown during COVID. And then 2024, I watched the BIPOC Star Wars game that day that was done, and then I saw what they did, and I was like, oh, I can do this. And then I just pivoted, and I've been on a lot of playtesting Discords that have been really awesome. I've been on the Russian Punch playtesting Discord for a while, and that's been great. I've had a chance to playtest some Possum Creek games over on their Discord, and it's just been wonderful. I've had some people play Fair Season over at House of Dreams, and I've gotten a little bit of my buddies to kind of play it. But Discord's just a great tool to just reach out. And I know that a lot of people are fatigued with how many Discords they have now.
Sure.
But it's really important. I have APOC-U, which is all BIPOC, but then I also have my own, which is a mixture of people. I'm on Game Master Monday, which is another wonderful community. Roll D4 is another great community. As I said, I've been on Possum Creek for a very, very long time, and these are places where I have met people that have encouraged me, both in AP and game design. It's a great place for playtesting, and it's a great place to find your tribe.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Couldn't agree more.
Cons, Discords, these are these spaces that are very special for specifically, I think, indie tabletop games, RPGs, story-based games, community-based games, and games that maybe do want to change the world, right, that have some sort of ideology behind them. And I think it's going to be really great to talk to you about some of the things you're interested in doing with your AP, with your game design at greater length. For now, we're here at PAX Unplugged 2025. Traditional final question for Chris. And just open it up to Okami for anything else.
Yeah, so, well, first of all, thanks so much, Okami, for speaking with us. It's super fun, amazing to meet you. What are your pluggables? Where can folks find you? How can we best support you moving into 2026?
You can find me over at khokami.itch.io, which is my blue sky, khokami on Instagram, and you can also go to houseofdreams.bluesky.social, and also all underscored. If you want to see more about my AP stuff, if you want to see more about my stuff as game design, and the stuff that I do with Apochromatic Unlimited and other channels, because I do a lot of charity fundraising, one-shots, and other channels as well, that'll all be on my personal Blue Sky.
Very nice. Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for listening. Thank you again, Okami, for joining us. This has been Wife and Chris, Why We Roll, at PAX Unplugged 2025. Something, I don't know.
One of the years. It's a year. Thanks, Okami. We look forward to talking again soon.
Yes.
Everybody, it's Chris from Why We Roll. We're back with another shorty from PAX Unplugged 2025. I'm here, as always, with my good friend and co-host, Wythe Marshall.
Hey, it's me, Wythe Marshall.
And right now we're talking with Roderick from, oh man, I just forgot it.
Alewood Games.
Alewood. I wanted to say Alewife, like the bar in
like
Brooklyn.
Well, Alewife's a kind of fish.
Yeah,
we'll get into
it is
that
a
in the
type of
long
fish.
form. Yeah.
This is all staying in. Hey, Roderick, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. Outside of a flub of an intro. But yeah. How's your con so far?
The con's been great. I always love coming to PAX. The vibe is really genuine, and it scales really large, but still feels really focused on the players and the designers, which I love.
I mean, we also, I think we echo that sentiment. We love
100%.
PAX for the same reason. It feels more community-driven in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's just really well organized.
Yeah, and we were just saying, like, I like that players are curious,
Yes.
and will sometimes really stay into the booth and, like, kind of get into the weeds, which I enjoy, that they're connecting. So, Roderick, I'm wondering, to just as an intro, like, what are some, maybe, have you had any moments with your games where that's happened, or, you know, anything cool at PAX that sort of, to intro, like, what games have you brought here?
It's been really fun to show people Archiver. People come in. We set up a little display at the end of our booth where we got a bunch of old, like, 70s CRT TVs covered in tentacles and things like that.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's my language, baby.
Catches people's attention. They're like, what is this? I'm like, oh, this is Archiver. You can play Mothership, but as a documentary film crew. And then immediately people are just drawn in, oh, tell me more. And, like, the genuine curiosity is just really fun to, like, interact with people and, like, talk about how we can take the traditional Mothership game and just put this twist on it where you have, like, a shot list and have to make art in this horrible sci-fi dystopian setting.
That's so cool. It's like Archive 81 or Magnus Archives or something, but like on the Mothership kind of, you know, alien. Yeah, that's great. I love that mashup. Yeah.
I've never imagined in the, like, you know, the Ridley Scott alien verse or what you know, it's a mess, but I've never imagined what it would be like to be a documentary filmmaker in that universe and just being like, oh shit, this is horrible.
Yeah, when
everything is bad.
When I explained it to people, it's like, imagine trying to make, like, a safety video for a corporation, like, on the Event Horizon.
Right.
You know? Right. And it's like,
Sam Neill comes out, he's completely bald and scarred with, like,
In the event of extra-dimensional hellscape, please find your nearest safety port and buckle up. Yeah.
it is both more terrifying and hilarious, the fact that when you're a documentary film crew, you don't have weapons like you do. Like,
I was going to ask, like,
and
what does
so
combat
You're
look
so
like?
much more vulnerable, and people are more focused on getting the shot than killing the alien. So there's moments where they're like, you know, someone's getting dragged into the darkness, and they're like tossing the camera, like, save the footage, and they're like running back to the ship because, like, that's the only way we get paid.
Oh, I love that. I have to say, Roger, this is so also in keeping with Stillfleet, with our big sci-fi game, which is about sort of like Severance meets Warhammer, like your Space Marines who, like, realize you work for a horrible company and you want to quit. So I've never thought of this either, where you just are doing the archival task and you're not good at combat. Yeah. But I think that's such a brilliant trope.
And it starts off like heavy too, where it's really upfront, and, like, you start the game basically as freelance corporate propagandists, right? Because that's how you get paid. But then from there on, it's your choice. Where do you want to go from there? Because you have the freedom to film whatever you want, and you have the freedom to distribute your footage to whomever you want. But there are benefits and consequences to each of that. So you can, like, go rogue and film, like, the truth, but bad things may happen if your patron finds out.
I love this. There's a political, like, mechanic, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But also, like, it's kind of giving me chills because it's just reminding me of, like, my real life mercenary freelance work and just being like, oh god. You're always someone's always paying, you know?
You have no idea. I remember doing some games with people on production crews, and they were having fun, and at the end of the game, it's like, whoa, that was fun. hit a little too close to home.
Yeah, I kind of want to go drink myself into a coma now, but
yeah, I remember my buddy works at New York One talking about a game about photographing cryptids and just the real life annoyance of being the guy with the camera. So I feel like again the game is called Archiver, right?
Yes.
And it's like a hack of Mothership. Is it like an all-in, like you buy it and it has the rules, or is it like you also need the Mothership, which is pretty easy to get,
right? It's more like a toolkit. So knowledge of or having the original rules is needed. But Archive is also really flexible in terms of how you want to implement it. So, for example, if you want to play a full documentary crew, you can get the whole team, like camera operator, sound recorders, producer, all that stuff. Or you can mix and match classes. If you want 3 Marines and a camera operator, do kind of like a war correspondent kind of mission, you can do that. And also, Archiver is compatible with all third-party adventure modules for Mothership, so you can pick any module that you like and then turn it into a documentary adventure. It gives you all the tools to do that.
How do you tweak the narrative structure so It's not about fighting or whatever, it's about documentation.
And it offers this new level that players were really telling me that they really enjoy, that it offers the chance to play sequels to your missions. So let's say you play a mission and you have a total party kill. You can replay that mission as the filmmakers that get sent in afterwards.
You find your old characters.
Yeah, exactly.
This is so good. I'm just imagining, I love Alien Earth. I think they really hit it out of the park. And I'm just imagining after all the chaos, because they kind of leave that behind.
They do,
yeah.
They really leave it open.
The Maginot hits the big, super, ultra skyscraper in the middle of New Siam. So Bangkok is basically destroyed.
Oh, man.
And it's like, wait a second. We're just not going to go back to that? Like,
we're just
100 million people's lives have changed, and it's like, anyway, moving on to a story about rich people.
But robot kids.
Yeah, so I'm really curious about that kind of approach to just that type of, as you say, like the big epic Mothership stories. But hey, what happens like on Tuesday, afterward? That's great, Roger. Do you do a lot for Mothership, or do you do all kinds of things? Do you want to tell us about some other games maybe you got a brewing?
Yeah, because I was going to say, Ailwood has a lot on offer at the booth outside of Archiver. There's a lot going on.
So, I've actually been trying to find a balance here. Mothership has been my main focus lately. The most recent thing, I was part of Mothership Month 2024 last year, and I just came out with a extension of Archiver called Omendrome, which is inspired by Videodrome and kind of Cronenberg-esque.
Love.
And the idea is,
baby.
Omendrome is basically like a shock exploitation TV station, like in rogue, operating in deep space, and they're calling for archivers to find. It's a list of 14 NPCs that you are tasked to hunt down, find, and get footage of for their exploitive TV station, where you might get big royalties, but at what price?
That's crazy.
And no way that there's a conspiracy involved at all, right? No way.
There's no weird right-wing conspiracy behind all of it. Yeah, totally normal. Totally normal.
Fucking right-wing Canadians. That's who we have to fear. We have to fear right-wing Americans number 2, but number 1 is
they're quieter. They're more polite. So
right-wingers in Montreal. Yeah.
Maybe if it doesn't exist already, I'll sell or I'll insert this in my own games. But is there a Debbie Harry based character who you have to film?
No, but that's a good addition.
Yeah. We'll put it out in the future.
Yeah, that could be like the postcard. Like if you backed X number, you'd back the next Mothership Month with Ailwood. You get the Debbie Harry character postcard. Yeah, that's super cool. We're huge Cronenberg fans, so I know that you mentioned Omendrome when we were talking about email, but it just now was like, oh, video, our favorite movie. Sorry, just this to say thank you, Roger.
We're on a different podcast.
We were on a 2-hour podcast about Videodrome recently, so I'm going to buy Omendrome as soon as this interview is over.
Absolutely.
Yeah, nothing like poetic body horror to amp up your game.
That's the genre that we like. So
literally all of our games.
So you got Archiver, Omendrome. Do you have some other? You want to highlight some other titles that you have here at PAX Unplugged 2025?
Yeah. So for PAX Unplugged, I worked with Meldar 16 to come up with a PAX Unplugged exclusive that we're really only releasing here.
Cool.
It's a shore leave mini adventure for Mothership. So you basically. Hold on, let me restart that. It's a shore leave mini adventure for Mothership where players are essentially trying to go to a rave to relax.
Hell yeah!
So it's called Venetian Stairs, which is a play on, if you know the band, Venetian Snares.
Yes.
And all of the hallucinations and the drugs and the encounters that you have there are all references to song titles from Aphex Twin and Square Pusher, Bjork, Octor, all that stuff.
That's awesome.
And it's formatted like a DJ flyer poster. So it's just one poster. The front side is like the flyer, so you can hang up in your room, and the back side is the actual module maze.
I love that. There's my favorite like story game is this single. It's just the front side of a poster, an 11 by 17 poster called on the occasion of our regrettable decay of orbit of our artificial planet before it explodes or whatever. It's like a super long title about you're on an artificial planet and you're just journaling what everyone's doing as it's blowing up and you're all gonna fucking die. But it's cool. Like, it looks beautiful, you know.
It's like moving into a sun.
Yeah. So I love that kind of like one-off, like what can we do in this format, and then just pack it full of cool ideas, and that's that.
The thing I love about like indie RPGs is like there's so much room to experiment, and just like there's so many games that are 100% just based on vibes, or they make an entire game just based on a joke, which is kind of what Venetian Stairs is. It's like, because it's called Venetian Stairs because the whole task is their players are trying to find the rave by going down this maze of stairs.
Right.
And just for the GM only, so if you're a player, don't listen to this, but for the GM only, there's a line, my favorite line in the thing that says, "There is no rave, only stairs," because it loops you around in this.
That's so good, but I think we have to bleep it and be like, listen to the full interview.
I'm definitely gonna like scramble that part out for sure. But yeah, no, you should listen to the full interview to get more.
That's so good, Roderick. I love this. So it really sounds like you're doing a lot of innovative things. But yeah, like focused around Mothership. So a lot of sci-fi, which again, I'm a huge fan. I guess one question for folks who are interested in con games, do you run a lot of games? Do you interact? Like, how do you sort of do cons as Ailwood?
It depends on which convention it is. At PAX, I usually just run the booth. At bigger ones like Gen Con, I can't really do a booth there, so I actually just run games all weekend at a convention like that.
Samesies, yeah.
That's what we do at Gen Con when we make it to Gen Con.
It's too hot for our wallets.
Too rich for our blood. But yeah, no, I mean it's still great to run games, even if you're just kind of floating like the three of us do. It turns out.
Yeah, and it's a great way to like test new ideas and things like that, and with like just a huge audience of people that are just willing to try something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. It'd be super cool to do like really sci-fi collab focused like con meetups when we know that people are going to be in the same place, which is kind of rare. So that's cool. So here at PAX, you're focused on getting people to see Ailwood games, print products, and kind of interact at the booth. What is a good way people can reach you and find your material? Just Google Ailwood Games. Anything you want to shout out in terms of content?
What are your pluggables?
Yeah, it's really easy to just Google the name Ailwood Games, but you can also find us and everything that I make on ailwoodgames.com. Also have an account on Itch, and you can find it in Blue Sky, all the same name, Ailwood Games.
Sweet. All right. Well, amazing.
And maybe one last question, if you're up for it. What's next? So we talked about Archiver.
We got to know what's next.
We got to sort of plug. Like, what are you working on? What's going to come out, in the near future?
So next year I have two projects that I'm going to be working on. One is another Mothership adventure. Another one is a much more like experimental kind of journaling game. So one is called Grave Gardens. It's going to be based off of clearly Grey Gardens, where you are. It's an archiver mission where you're trying to interview this kind of this socialite family that had since fallen from grace, only to find out that everyone is dead, and their ghosts are inhabiting the electronics and the machines when you arrive. And I'm gonna try this new thing where the biggest issue, but the hardest thing about Archiver I found was that the GM has to play like multiple NPCs sometimes that are dynamic. So this is an experiment where, in order to help take that load off, Grave Gardens is going to be, each player has a very small profile of one of the ghosts with secret agendas. In order to talk and interview to any of the ghosts, we'll have to possess one of the players, and the players get to play one of the family members.
I love that.
That's brilliant.
More interaction between everyone. They get to like play dual characters and like have agendas that they can have fun with.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of load off the warden at the same time.
I love that.
That's brilliant because that cognitive burden can be a lot when you're doing, like you're saying, dynamic kind of interacting NPCs. It's hard to keep track of. I have a hard time with it all the time. And I also just love like giving the players that little bit of agency in the storytelling as well, where it's like, no, yeah, you're not just you are also an NPC, and you can drive what is going to happen.
Yeah, and it adds to collaborative role building. It also, I think, adds to replay value. I remember doing this with a Stillfleet game early on where they like were we're fighting this kind of a team of assassins in the Federation of Unhuman Kingdoms, these like soldiers. And then we did the next game. I like asked them to play those soldiers on that mission to kill their PCs, which they failed at, and just gave them really simple pregens, like very like simplified sheets with just like the names were like, because we'd made it up the first. In the original game, is like their names were like Squircle. They were like stupid names, but I was like, well, Squircle has a family. Squircle went on that mission for money and died doing like defending their belief and like their vision of like really tanky socialism. Like, let's play through Squircle's like attempt to kill you in this dungeon, and it was really interesting. So that's all to say, Roderick. I love that idea of like you're the archiver. You're also the ghosts, and that's touching, and you get to know the ghosts differently when you have to be like, okay, fuck, who am I? Oh, I'm a ghost. Like, how did I die? Like, that's cool. I love that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to play that. Roderick, anything else you want to say in this little teaser episode before we have you back on in the next season to do a full-blown, like, how'd you get into this? What are your big inspirations? Anything you want to shout out?
Just want a really quick note on the other project I'm working on for next year. It's still in very early development, and there's a lot still being figured out, but I'm excited about it because I'm collaborating with a lot of different artists, like Adam from Stations, who created Infinity of Ships.
Love Adam's work, yeah.
You were just talking to him.
We're going to have Adam on next season as well. Yeah. So.
And more Blueberries and like all these different people. It's essentially going to be a journaling game specifically for musicians who write music. So you essentially you roll dice, you get 4 random notes in which you're supposed to make a song, but the whole theme of the game is that the world is kind of like under control by this regime where everything is silent, so you have to communicate in code to each other by recording tracks at home and then sending that track to a friend, and they're adding to that tracks, and you're literally building a song together in this idea of like kind of World War II-esque secret code.
What? Did you just invent Mixtape Exquisite Corpse Quiet Place? That's the game? That's sick. That's really cool.
But I'm going to be collaborating with a lot of different people who have ties with like musicians and things like that, who I'm going to want to have as like guest writers on, because who are actually composing things for examples, and then we're going to also be recording pieces for them. So anyone who doesn't play music, who wants to learn, can also pick this up and be like, oh, that's how that works.
Well, I know some New York City dungeon synth nerds who would love to play test that for sure.
You could do a whole dungeon synth album game, right?
But this is very early in development, but I'm very excited about it.
Oh, that sounds
fantastic. That's really cool. Well, maybe by the time we schedule and do the full interview, we'll hear a little more. For now, this is Roderick from Elwood Games. Everyone go check out elwoodgames.com. If you're here at PAX Unplugged, go over to the booth, say hi. And Roderick, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, welcome back to Why We Roll, the tabletop game design podcast from the Stillfeed Studio. This is Wife Marshall, and as ever, I'm here with
Chris Pickett. Hello, everybody.
And our special guest today here at PAX Unplugged 2025 is Mike Underwood, writer and game designer. Mike, how are you doing?
I am doing marvelously. Somehow I'm still upright.
It's been a long con, or?
My hotel's a little bit farther away, so it's a lot of back and forth, and just a lot of anticipation built up to the show, and everything is great.
I mean, yeah, that release of anticipation can be exhausting in and of itself. It kind of reminds me of what do the Danes say? Up and not crying. That's kind of how I'm feeling on Sunday at the con.
It's a good name for a beer.
Yeah.
Mike, why don't you tell us a little about your work, and especially what brings you to, like, what are you up to at PAX Unplugged? What fun stuff have you been getting into personally?
Sure. So my big project over the last year and change is that I was an additional designer on the Daggerheart core rulebook for Darrington Press as a freelancer, and now I am lead designer on the Dungeons of Drakkenheim Daggerheart campaign guide, adapting and reinterpreting the Emmy award-winning adventure module by the Dungeon Dudes for the Daggerheart rule system.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's nice to see the cross stream of indie into the. I wouldn't say Daggerheart is mainstream, but it's getting there. It's very
pretty
popular.
mainstream.
Very popular.
Maybe there's a question for Mike, who knows more about it than we do. Mike, what do you think? What's going on with Daggerheart overall? Can you give us a quick rundown of like what draws you to the system, or things you've been excited to work on, and also like, how's it doing? How is its sort of influence? It seems like waxed enormously.
Sure. So right? Speaking for myself in terms of my thoughts on Daggerheart, I think that it is a really fun and specific middle ground between a more crunchy tactical fantasy adventure game like what you might see in D&D 5th edition or Pathfinder 2nd edition, and then combining with a story game or narrative focused game in a tradition like Powered by the Apocalypse or Forged in the Dark, where Spencer Stark is lead designer, and then the team, as I see it, took a lot of ideas and tried to synthesize material from more than a decade of game design from trad through the independent space, and try to bring a lot of things together for a game that is combining collaborative storytelling, narrative, and kind of fiction focused game with something that has exciting dynamic combat and a lot of character options, so that you can have your big action sequences and feel like the system is supporting you in having some nuance and up and down beats, as opposed to like a strictly narrative game where more things are abstracted, right? There's still some crunch in there, but it's all being directed in the service of telling a story together.
I mean, I think that sounds fantastic, frankly. Bearing all that in mind, what has it been like adapting like an older module into the system? I don't know Dragonheart too well, but if I remember correctly, there is some crunch. It's like a little bit more old school. What's it like taking that into Daggerheart and like injecting that more narrative or story game kind of idea into it?
Yeah, so I got the chance to play in a full Drakenheim campaign in 5e, so I have those individual experiences. But the thing that the Dungeon Dudes and I have been talking about a lot are wanting to really emphasize the elements of the game where your characters have stress that they can mark in addition to hit points, how hope and fear are cosmological forces in the world of a Daggerheart campaign, but they are also a meta currency where the players and then the GM can access special abilities, right? For the GM, fear is a way to raise the stakes or pull a move that in another situation might feel like too pat or too convenient, but in spending a meta currency and showing that you know that you're making a really hard move, it creates a sense of fairness and gives the GM something that feels like they are also playing a game. And we get to bring that in combination with Drakenheim, which mostly described as a sandbox, really player-driven adventure. And so it's a great match. I had actually written a blog post on my Patreon last November about how I thought Drakenheim would be a great match for Daggerheart because there's already so much alignment in the players and their personal agendas and their emotional relationships to characters or events in Drakenheim are really what's driving the story, as opposed to the GM having a specific script or like kind of a rail track that the players have to follow along. Instead, this is a big, messy setting where the whole city is like a dungeon and there's all these different factions, but they can't break their status quo without people like you, the adventurers. And so you really are change agents, which aligns very nicely with how I see Daggerheart's design, where the player characters are the protagonists of a story, and we are thinking in like a narratological structure, as opposed to something that's more like explicitly simulationist or is derived from like a really gamey war game approach.
Sure. Yeah.
I love that so much. I mean, that's very much in keeping with our design. We love factions and politics and urban design, and like with the book Unsunken for Danse Macabre Medieval Horror Role Playing that I'm writing, which is the Paris setting, the all home base setting. It's sort of meant to be like, just like you said, which I love writing this so much. It's like factions are all about to do something.
Yeah, they're all on the precipice of changing something.
Exactly.
They can't get over the hill.
But only when the pilgrims show up. So when a player, your friend or whomever, sits down and starts playing, that's when it changes. So they are that, in philosophical terms, the clinamen, the one extra thing, the one grain of sand that breaks that camel's back, whatever. And it's so fun to sort of design a powder keg that way, and then see what players do. So you don't have to do as much hardcore planning every element because the pieces start to fall into place. Do you want to say a little about how this ties into PAX Unplugged and what you've been doing here with Drakenheim and just, I don't know, stuff you've been up to at PAX?
Sure. So one of the big things that I was excited to do was to get to meet with and brainstorm with the Dungeon Dudes themselves in person.
Cool.
Nice.
I had met them years ago at Big Bad Con, just as a fan, saying like, hey, I'm playing Drakenheim. Here's a little bit about it. I'm really having a good time. And now getting to come back to that as a colleague, getting to draw on and kind of learn from how they see the setting and the expertise that they bring mostly through D&D, but to specifically trying to present this type of a more adaptable and open campaign that you can build together, and then trying to figure out where we want to expand on the rules of Daggerheart. Know that there is the core book here, and now because we have this licensing relationship with Darrington Press, we have some latitude to push some things farther. And so I'm really excited as a designer to see where there can be new, like we can carve out new areas or new design technology for Daggerheart to express in Drakkenheim. So getting to chat with them here. Of course, Darrington had their big kind of what's next panel yesterday that I got to go and be in the audience for, and they gave a shout out to the Drakkenheim Daggerheart Kickstarter. And then I just came from the actual play Escape from Drakkenheim that Monty GM'd for some folks, which was the first public actual play using Daggerheart for the Drakkenheim setting.
Oh, that's very cool. I really hope that there was an NPC named Snake. That's my only wish for that actual play. I'm sure it's fantastic otherwise, but if there's not an NPC named Snake, I'm not watching it. Or listening. I don't know if it's audio or video.
I'll watch it or whatever. Yeah, that's great.
You tell me about it later.
And congrats, by the way, Mike. That's a lot of really fun developments, and it sounds like building on work and thoughtfulness that you've put in terms of design, and what it sounds like what you want to do as a game designer is matching up with some of these bigger folks, and that's always fun to see, you know. And as big fans of like kind of medium crunch and trying to tie together mechanics to the story and trying to mechanicalize story elements in a way that doesn't feel, you know, too cheesy or prescriptive for players. I think this sounds very titillating. I got to look into what you're up to more. I got to follow that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but you are also a narrative writer. Like outside of TTRPGs, you also, is it... Well, what are you working on outside of TTRPGs? Let me ask you that.
So most of my focus is on TTRPGs right now, but one of my projects is adapting a science fiction novella series that I wrote into a Forge in the Dark RPG. And that is titled Let's Go Steal an Ending, which is an interdimensional story heist game.
Whoa.
So that series is one of the ones I'm more well known for, that is really me intensely engaging with genre convention and trying to think about how and why we tell stories. People talk about like hard sociological science fiction or hard sciences science fiction. Genre nuts for me is kind of like hard comparative literature science fiction, where we're like trying to dig deeply and make explicit the metaphor, literalize the metaphors of genre convention and how and why we tell different kinds of stories using an action adventure structure, right? So it's as much drawing on leverage as it is like a graduate comparative literature course. Sure. And that tension or synthesis between kind of pulp adventure and strong thematic thought and agenda is like a big deal for me as a creator from fiction into games.
That's really interesting. Everything you said, I feel like we have to have you on for the full episode.
This is all very exciting.
As soon as we can schedule it, because I'm a big science fiction studies nerd, and that's led to Stillfleet and thus Stillfleet Studios. So it'd be really cool to hear about sort of what are some of the conventions and how are you playing with them. But the whole idea of stealing an ending is just a great pitch, right? It's a great mysterious, but you can kind of wrap your head around. Okay, I can see where we're going here. It makes me think of all my favorite, which again, a huge influence on me, like Planescape and Sliders and Quantum Leap, those kinds of stories, but having the meta influence with a game where the players also know the tropes and they can kind of sift through the tropes. Sounds really fun to design. So I'd love to ask all these questions about that process, especially if that's a 2026 project. Might be a good time,
It probably won't be out in 2026.
Sure.
But it's the main kind of fiction-informed thing that I'm working on, and I always love getting to chat about science fiction with folks because there's so much overlap between the fields of like prose SF and speculative fiction and games.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, there's also a lot of overlap between the work that you're doing narratively and also the work that you're doing within TTRPGs. And I mean, we talk about playing around with genre conventions all the time. And that question of like, why do we tell these stories? Why do we engage in these stories? It's just infinitely interesting. And you get a different answer at every different table.
Yeah, it's only because of already being an author and having my academic background in storytelling and studying games that I was able to kind of like multi-class into game design and hit the ground running the way that I did. And I had a lot of ways in which I got lucky that I'm happy to talk about later.
Sure.
Cool. Well, we're lucky to be interviewing you here at PAX Unplugged 2025. Before we do the traditional last question, we're day 3, Sunday. Mike, what are you up to? What are some other things at the con? Anything you want to shout out that you've seen, either by you, Darrington, or just other fun stuff that we haven't covered?
So I've been hearing good things about the card game called Compile, where you have different themed decks and you can combine them and you're fighting over controlled bases. It's like a strong cyberpunk hacking theme.
Okay, cool.
And I'd seen videos about it, and then I heard that it was sold out, and they were then doing a second edition, but I found the company here was able to grab a box of the first game, because I'm a really big fan of Netrunner. From the 90s, and then it's come back, and then I see Null Signal is here as well.
Yeah, love Null Signal games.
Many chances for me to indulge my inner cyberpunk at PAX Unplugged.
There are a lot. There's a big cyberpunk without the vowels game that's happening, but Compile sounds super interesting, so I want to look that one up.
Yeah.
We got to play NetHack. I found that, Netrunner, very different game.
Yeah.
I found that old box on the street for free. So
did you really?
Yeah.
Because I bought a box from Null Signal last PAX, 2024. So it's just been collecting dust because I have nobody to play it with.
Well, Chris, I will play it with you.
Right,
we'll get the new one and the old one, put them together.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Mike.
Join us as well.
Thank you.
Always welcome. Mike, where are you based? Before we turn it over to Chris for the traditional final question, where are you based out of curiosity?
Yeah, I'm in Baltimore.
Oh, nice. So many cool game designers.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool game designers in Baltimore that we've met this weekend. It's really interesting. I didn't know there was a big scene down there, but I guess we'll have to head down,
100%.
check out some Maryland, get some crab, some Old Bay, maybe. I don't know.
Will you be at Game Face Con?
I haven't made my plans just yet. I've been trying to figure out what to do for 2026. It's going to depend a little bit on what my contracts are like. And we're also looking to maybe move next year, so that creates some challenges.
Yep. Sure. Yeah. Well, our traditional final question, Mike. What are your pluggables? Where can folks find you? How can we best support you?
Yeah, so I am on Blue Sky at mikeRunderwood.bsky.social. I stream my thoughts about game design and GMing, especially Daggerheart, but not only, at twitch.tv/turbotango, and then those archive at youtube.com/@MikeUnderwood. Those are the big things for me, and then I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/MichaelRUnderwood.
Very good. Yeah, we'll have links for all those in the show notes, so make sure to check out Mike's work. Give him a follow on Patreon, do some supporting, and that's it for this mini of Why We Roll here at PAX 2025, PAX Unplugged 2025.
There's so many PAXs. Mike, we'll have to have you back on and talk more about Daggerheart, science fiction, all of your cool work in 2026.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's up, everybody? We are back for another shorty at PAX Unplugged 2025. This is Why We Roll. I'm Chris Pickett, and I'm here as always with my good friend and co-host.
It's Wythe Marshall.
That's right. You heard it here. I keep flubbing these intros. We are chatting right now with Spencer Campbell of Gila RPGs. Hey, Spencer, how's it going?
It is going really well. I apologize for my voice being devastated. It is 3 o'clock on Sunday, but I promise you, I am actually having a very good time.
I think we're all feeling it in the vocal cords right now. I'm definitely starting to feel a little bit raw.
There's a tightness, yeah.
Yeah, there's a tightness. It's a lot of yelling, it's a lot of talking, a lot of running games, but it's all good stuff. But how has your PAX been? How's your con been going?
This continues to be my favorite convention. We love this one. It's a drive. We drive out from Chicago, which is like a 14, 15-hour drive.
Wow.
And it is 100% worth it every single time. I keep telling people this is like a Goldilocks con in terms of it's not too small, not too big. It's just right for the number of people. The energy's good. People are here to buy things. People are here to tell you, oh, I played this game last year. And it's just a really good place to be.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of curiosity. I feel like people ask the right kinds of questions. They're not like, oh, how does this relate to 5e? They'll just ask about your thing, which is, more flattering for one, but also more germane to like, do you want to buy it or not? Yeah. Have you had any particular good reactions to any of your recent games as a segue into kind of what you were up to?
Well, I've had a lot of people who have come, they come back year after year and they say like, hey, I tried Rune. What new Rune things do you have? Or we just finished a 12-session Nova campaign, which blew my mind when somebody said that. I was like, oh my God, you played it longer than I did. I'm glad you liked it so much.
You heard it here first.
Did the game break after session 6?
Yeah, how did that go? Is it okay? So just, it's a lot of people coming back and saying, this has been really cool. I've really enjoyed this. and what more for this game do you have, which is sort of a running lesson that I have for design moving forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, we've had that a bit with Blister Critters at our table, where people saw it last year, maybe got to play it downstairs, come back, and like that recognition is so validating. It's insane. It really, gets the dopamine flowing.
Yeah, it's straight pure dopamine. When people remember you, even it's just
real
the
dope.
small things.
It's real dope. What new stuff do you have on offer here at PAX this year?
I have Dragon Slayers here in physical print, which released digitally maybe 2 weeks ago, but this is the live premiere, the actual copies. They got here last week, so they are fresh from the printer. Super excited about Dragon Slayers. And then the other thing that I brought, and I was sort of alluding to this earlier, is I brought supplements for games that I've been working on. So I created a duet rule set for Rune and a duet rule set for Slayers, because for 4 years, people have been saying, do you have any duet games? And I said, nah, I don't. And then I realized I should probably do something about that. Yeah. And those have sold out. So, people said that they...
Fantastic.
Yeah, people said that they wanted them, and then they actually did. So that has been take note of that, Spencer.
Yeah, we've had a similar experience lately. We've had a lot of people asking after solo rules, duet rules, things like that, which is just, I don't think, really not in our wheelhouse, but not in our vision for what we were going to do originally. But it makes a lot of sense.
Well, some of it's an attention economy as a designer too. You're thinking about the stuff you like, the stuff you know and play, and maybe your friends, your sort of colleagues, and what they're up to. And I think for you and me and Tony, we just don't always play those games. Although Spencer, I enjoyed Reap. I've played some of your games, and that was actually on my mind. So I was doing the solo rules for Danse Macabre, which Chris and I are still working on. But I definitely shout out Reap. I say that very upfront. I like the idea of little worlds, little realms, and each of them having their own unique kind of board mechanics. So even if there's a base system, I'm trying to model for the player, look, you can do this yourself. You can go look at a map of roughly, the year 1400, what was going on, and just decide, I don't know, what cities fell to a zombie apocalypse, what didn't, make up some stuff, have fun with it, and then play through it. And I think again, I was really inspired. So just to shout out Rune, Reap, that kind of somewhat I think you've said when you were on the show before, board games, but it's meant to have the TTRPG evocation of an avatar, a character's journey catharsis. So I'd be curious to see the duet rules. It's almost like we're crossing in the night, where we're really focused on adventure, multiplayer, deep, avatar simulation, and then you're in this almost solo world, but then opening it up and doing a lot with it. And loot. I know you do a lot of different games, so I don't want to box you in there. Just cool to hear about the duet stuff, and I'd be very curious to pick that up myself. So.
Yeah, and for me, it was, okay, people have been asking for duet rules. Am I going to suddenly try to create whole cloth a new duet game? No, because that's not what I do. I make solo games and I make group games. But what I could try to do is think about how could I adapt my existing games to fit a duet game. So, there are people out there who go in with a plan to make a duet game, and they do it fantastic. I always point people to Will Yobst over at Good Luck Press.
Right.
Just go to Will. Will has 2-player games that are very intentionally decided. But if you already like my games and you want a 2-player variant, I can do that. And as a designer, that's also an easier lift for me to do, right?
Sure.
It's a creatively fulfilling thing to do, but it's not me going, I got to make a whole new game, and I got to think about all of that. And so it also lets me support past games, and people who are fans of those things can now see that there's more stuff for that.
It's cool, too, to do a duet version or duet hack of past games, because you have somebody who's played it solo, they really love it, grab a friend or their partner or something, and it's an opportunity to share your work more broadly and just bring people into the solo games that you really do enjoy in designing.
Yeah, and we were talking about it over at Adam Bass's booth about, it feels like duets are the thing that people are asking for, when a few years ago everyone's asking for solos, and we sort of think what happened is all the people who asked for solos started playing, then their friends and partners looked at it and said, well, I want to play that with you. So now duets are the thing, and so maybe big group games will eventually come back.
Hell yeah.
But it's all those people who got really into solos a few years ago, their partners want in on the action.
Yeah.
It's like watching Dark. It's like a 33-year cycle.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
It goes back to the Tannenhauser factory or something. Anyways, well, let's address, I think, the dragon in the room. Dragon Slayers. We're here. We're at PAX. You have it. what's the quick pitch for people who missed it? Again, this is a teaser episode. We can talk all about this and new games, but for folks who might have seen it on the internet, what is Dragon Slayers? Why should they be so excited and go pick it up as soon as they can?
Dragon Slayers is a high fantasy role-playing game. The fun thing about it is every class has their own unique set of rules, so it's very asymmetrical.
Nice.
What I mean by that is a barbarian is going to have a small pile of D4 that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger the more they get beat up, to show that sort of like raging mechanic. The bard is trying to get strings of numbers that are all in order, like 1, 2, 3, 4, to show that they're hitting the notes in the right order. So everyone's got their own mini game, so that the mechanics are very intentionally designed for you to feel like you are that class, rather than we're all going to roll a d20 and add a modifier. There's nothing wrong with that, but for me, for my fantasy game, I want that, like, ooh, I'm a rogue and I play totally different than the wizard over there.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I mean, I know this because I read, so I'm going to act like fake surprised, but I read your emails closely because they're really smart. But that's so cool. No, but it really is. Like, I always thought the asymmetrical design you were working on was rad, and I do think having mostly followed your stuff in the last 2-3 years, so I can't speak to all the early iterations, but I really feel like Dragon Slayers brings together a lot of elegant mechanics in a really concise, well-written package that is, I'm excited genuinely to play and try out because, as you may know, we don't like D20s either. Don't tell...
We tend not to roll D20s.
Yeah, so it's really cool to see how you said, okay, what else can I do though? So, okay, yeah, there's other dice, but like, what can you do with dice? And I think as simple as getting 1, 2, 3, 4, or just like, yeah, you get more dice when X, as opposed to other dice pool mechanics, which are fine, but, you know, like you said, you're mimicking, I think, the rage of the barbarian is stepping on the D4. And gets another D4.
The Caltra.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can say anything about, like, at PAX, the experience of talking with people about Dragon Slayers, or, you know, I don't know, any reactions you've gotten, discussions you've had here? Or?
It's just been a lot of people who are excited about it. People who either saw the Kickstarter or have heard me screaming about it for the last few months are excited to see it out in the world. It's also a very common experience for somebody to go, we play D&D, we want an off-ramp, what do you have? And, like, Dragon Slayers, I think, really fits that. Like, hey, you all like high fantasy. You still want your bards and barbarians. Right. But do you want to see how an indie perspective would play out that game? It's going to have everything that you want in your D&D game, but with a mechanical mindset that is going to make you feel maybe a little bit more excited about, like, ooh, my class is my class, and I'm special because of that.
Well, I haven't read through it yet, but I imagine that it really focuses on player agency and really puts that forward, right? Because, I mean, yeah, you have your mini game, you're kind of active all the time, and you're making choices as you're making actions, as opposed to being like, well, I'm going to do this thing, and I know I'm going to roll, and then we'll see what happens, yes, no, whatever. But yeah, having that opportunity to, like, really fiddle with your dice and, like, really make those asymmetric choices, I think would, like, really, I mean, for me, that's super engaging. That would bring me further into the genre conventions that I'm looking for if I was a, say, high fantasy player.
It also lets you just, like, really play around with concepts of, like, party composition, where, like, okay, there's, like, one of the classes is the cleric, and they don't roll dice at all. They're all about giving little boons and curses to people and stuff like that. And so, like, a party that has a cleric has a lot more control over the flow of dice than another party, but, like, a party that has a rogue has basically somebody who can murder anything in one shot. And so there's, I think, a lot more fun to be played in thinking about min-maxing, if you want to call that the party comp in this, rather than my stats go up and so I have to choose these skills. It's not about how you become an ideal version, but it's how can you all play with one another with the party comp that you have.
Yeah, I think this will be really interesting to see. We just were talking about Daggerheart, and because we've avoided high fantasy. So, we were talking about this morning with Pirate Borg and kind of the off-ramp, right? So people saying, well, I liked 5e, but I'm going to try Borgs. I'm going to be pirates. Now, like, okay, Stillfleet, I've been hard selling people for 4 years on no, but you're in space, and it's the far future, and you're aliens. But also, like, back to your point, like, a lot of people like high fantasy, and I think now we're seeing a huge uptick, at least specifically with Daggerheart, around, major just trying something new breath. It's a half step or whatever, but it's getting people away from traditional D20 games. And I think Dragon Slayers hopefully will be part of a wave of that and kind of a refreshing, right? It's kind of like, think of new American cuisine, like taking stodgy old cuisine, saying, yeah, what if we use fresh stuff? What if we didn't use like it was all frozen bullshit? So, sorry, I'm a food nerd. Spencer, what else have you seen besides your own amazing work? Anything else at PAX you want to shout out? Anything you did that was fun? Any games you saw that you played or picked up?
So I only bought 2 things at PAX because I don't buy a lot of stuff. I have a baby now, and so I have. Thank you. I have a limited.
Not an excuse.
I have a limited budget and limited space. I bought a T-shirt from Plus One EXP because my good friend Adam Bass did the design on it.
Very nice.
And
It's a cool shirt. It's
It
a
is a
legit
very
cool
cool
shirt.
shirt.
I am going to pick that shirt up. That's the one thing that I'm allowing myself to purchase this convention is that specific T-shirt.
I also bought the Zeratul promo mini for the StarCraft skirmish game that is coming out because StarCraft is probably the most important game in my life. And so when I saw that there was a promo mini for a game that doesn't even exist yet, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that.
I love a Zerg.
Also, I'll say it's research because there is a huge surge of people who are working on skirmish games right now. I'm working on one. I was talking with Ryan from the Weekly Scrolls working on. I just kind of released one, handed it to me like an hour ago.
Oh wow.
There's a lot of cool skirmish stuff going on. I think there's just a lot of excitement for that, which I'm excited about. So it's research, right? I can write it off as research.
I put everything I buy now for games under research. Games, sci-fi, just anything.
Correct.
Yeah. Groceries. Well, that's cool. No, that's totally fair. Congrats on the kid, for real.
Thank you.
For the record. Don't cancel me. Don't cancel me. Chris, any other final questions before we ask, I guess, the future, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good thing to lead to. So what's after PAX? What's going on in 2026 for Gila and for you?
I have 3 priorities for next year. One is Nova 2. That's going to be my big project. So I'm doing active development on Nova 2 right now. Next year will be the 5-year anniversary of the first Nova. So I'm going to try to time it up with that. Ask future Spencer whether or not he pulled that off. But that's sort of the plan. That's going to be the big game, the big project.
Very cool.
I've been playtesting my OSRE game called Gila for the last few months, and it's been really fun. So my plan is to have that be my treat design for the game or for the year. So I'll release the core rules for free, and then just every month try to write a little adventure or a little pack of magic items or whatever cool things come to my mind.
Yeah.
And then I mentioned it earlier, but supplements for my existing games to show more support for the existing stuff, rather than trying to chase the high of the new game, especially post-kid. I can't release 3 new games every year like I used to. So instead, it's, hey, you've got all these games in the past that people are excited about. Why don't you make some more stuff for that? And that's it's going to be a creatively fulfilling space for me to come back and think okay, what could I haven't written anything for Rune in a long time. It's my most popular game, and I go, the smart thing. If I was a smart man, I would make more Rune stuff, and I just go, nah, I'm not going to make that. I'm going to make new stuff. But actually, what if I did? What if? And so hopefully you will see some more stuff like that in next year.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, you are a very smart man. It's just maybe it's hard to make good decisions all the time when it comes to these things.
Well, the lure of novelty is real. The dopamine rush but I had an idea in the shower. Yeah.
Oh
Feels
yeah.
so good.
You want to chase that dragon every day.
Yeah. We have 12 ideas of which man, it would be a lot smarter to just make sure that Danse Macabre is good and Stillfleet gets relaunched. But who knows? Or we'll do 12 things, including a Muppet zine. Let's find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Spencer, where can people find you? How can they support your work? They probably know, but shout it out.
Sure. So I'm Gila RPGs online, GILA RPGs. You can find me at gilarpgs.com. That'll link you to my Itch.io page, my Shopify, my YouTube channel, all the other stuff I'm on. That's my handle on Blue Sky. So just look up Gila RPGs and you'll find me.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much, Spencer, for your time, and thanks for joining us for this shorty at PAX Unplugged 2025. This has been Why We Roll, and thanks for listening.
We'll see you next year.
Thanks for listening to Why We Roll.
Our theme music is by the brilliant Sam Tyndall and Arpline.
If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
You can find us on all social media at Stillfleet. You can find out more about Danse Macabre, Stillfleet, and all of our games over at stillfleet.com.
Hey there, I'm Hugh from Moderation. If you like today's episode, why not check out The Next Session, your D&D agony aunts there to answer all of your questions. Join Adam and Alyssa as they answer questions sent in by listeners like you about how to solve the problems that come with running and playing in all sorts of different tabletop scenarios. Available wherever you get your podcasts.